The card on the bottom of the deck is the Knight of Stones. It's represented by Wolf. Stones is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, typically. Although it can be more an overall energy for some of you, having to do with how you manifest your coin. In other words, say you're changing jobs. This could be about changing jobs. Moving from one place to another, but putting some energy, movement, travel, taking what you've learned and applying it in some way in the earth world. Earth being your material stuff, home, family, business, that kind of thing. Wolf does tend to represent for us our family life, like wolf pack, excuse me, kinship group, family at home, extended family. Bearing in mind that, at least in the U.S., we're having Thanksgiving this month. So for some of you, it could have to do with getting together with the family and celebrating Thanksgiving and some of the energy that's going to be coming from that. Now, looking at something in your recent past, or it could be the present tense, but that is moving into your recent past, we have the Four of Arrows, which is rest, bodily rest, mental rest, just kind of taking some time out. Maybe some of you are having a 4-day weekend if you have Thanksgiving and Black Friday off, but taking some time to meditate and rest, relax, kind of withdraw from things. Get a sense of where you need to go. We understand that with a butterfly, for instance, it's when you go into the chrysalis phase, when you withdraw from the world. You're alone in your cocoon, or I'm going to mix up butterfly and moth energy. It's just going to happen because that's who I am and what I do. But so imagine that you're kind of in that chrysalis metamorphosis stage. You've wrapped yourself with this silky crap or whatever, and now you're withdrawing from the world. There's a great deal of change, metamorphosis that's going on behind the scenes. And this is kind of you when you withdraw from things and take that time out and do some self-care, some rest, some relaxation. And then when you emerge, you have a better sense of what it is that you need in order for your ideas, your dreams to take flight. This is about refocusing and taking the time that you need, taking time out to be able to do that. So let's bring on board our next card that we see here, the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is hearth fire. For some, this could be physical symptoms like heart issues. It could be heartburn. The hearth is the center of the home and the family. For those of you that are in good health, positive health, hearth fire is about communication and lots of communication coming in. It's about travel. It's about the things that the family centers around for warmth, literally, physically. Symbolically, right? Going into that time of rest, spending time with the people that you love the most, right? Your home and your hearth fire people, your kinship group, your wolf pack. Now, some of the things that may come up for you when you're in this experience of rest or meditation, you may identify some areas which you need to clear. And so that's going to be consuming your thoughts a little bit. We have to be able to clear things out in order for new things to come in. I heard it put by another reader that if you are ordering, say, a new couch, you have to get rid of the old couch before you have space for the new one, right? It's that same kind of idea. You can't bring something new on if you are not going to have any space for it. So part of what we do here is we have to clear things. Aside from the damage that's going on in California, a burn, a forest fire, for example, is a great way to clear out old growth and make room for the new. In fact, there are even some plant species, some trees and all the rest, where they need the fire in order to crack open the nut and have the new generation be able to take root and to grow. That's not all of the plant species out that way, of course, but that is a necessary process. In fact, lightning used to start a lot of forest fires, wildfires, and so on. Now, we have human-made stuff, and sometimes we interfere with that process. What used to be a healthy, natural process, now we try to manage because we've got people living there and so on. So part of what you're going to be trying to do in your moment of rest, as you're experiencing all this communication, all this energy, all this travel, all this movement that's going to be coming in, part of what you're going to need to do is, how do I clear this out without burning people? But how do I profess my need for growth? How do I communicate my needs without burning other people? There's a balance to be found in that process. Right. We can say things without being harsh. We can say things in a positive way. It does take tact and skill, of course. And that's part of what this rest period is speaking to, is that, it's cooler minds will prevail is the expression, right? Meaning, keep yourself in check as you're thinking things through. There may be a better way to do it. Sometimes things get kind of chaotic around the holidays, and passions can flare up. Choose your battles. And do we have to win? Sometimes it's about, do I want to win this argument, or do I want to be happy within this? Now, be on the lookout for issues of balance, right? Issues of balance. Some of you may find that you are really feeling at peace with yourself, and this may be in part because of this rest energy that you're having, and being able to take that time to meditate and really connect with your essence. What is the truest piece of you? We have here the element of the sun. We have the yang represented in the white horse, the red horse, the yin. We have the moon element and energy over here. We have a symbolic primordial egg with a fetus or an embryo in it. And the idea is about finding a way to balance opposing forces within yourself, so that you can, let me put it this way. There's a card called the Chariot in other decks. And one of the things is, there's two horses, typically a black and a white horse, or, like this one, a red and a white. And they represent opposing elements, opposing forces within one's own self. And it's about bringing those two together, hitching them to the same wagon, and harnessing those forces to move in a singular purpose or a singular direction, right? A lot of things that we have, for example, are just such socializing influences. There's healthy ways to do things, like say a kid's having anger management problems, you put them into some kind of sport where they can burn off some of their steam. Marriage is a healthy outlet for sexual appetites, right? So there's places we can do, we can take some of our more mysterious sides to ourselves, our shadow side, and we can try to find a way to express that need in a healthy social way. And that's part of what the card of balance teaches us. Now, the card of balance can be likened to yourself, the Gemini, in that here's a person with those conflicting dual natures, the twins, so to speak, more like fraternal twins, a brother and a sister than, identical twins. But it's the same type of energy here, trying to bring that forward, trying to find a balance within yourself that you can move forward in a singular purpose, in spite of the fact that some of you may be experiencing some conflict throughout that. Now, we see here again the same sense of a primordial egg in the moon card, front and center, right? We also see a lot of the wildness of nature. The moon can typically represent deceit, things that are hidden, things that may not be out in the clear, things that are a struggle. Right? Things that are a struggle to bring to light. In fact, one of the lessons of the wolf is that the wolf is not just a sweet domestic animal that is loving within its pack members and so on. It can also be very, very savage. And it's about the balance of these two impulses and trying to allow your more domesticated side to come forth in here. That's part of the socialization process, and that's part of what makes civilization work out, is that we have to temper some of our wilder, baser, more primeval senses to bring forward something that can live in a harmonious social system. I don't know where the hell I'm going with any of this. It's just kind of coming through, but whatever. There is some sense of a struggle, however. There's something that's on your mind that's sort of bothering you. Eight of Arrows can be the anxiety card, right? Anxiety, I must have told 100 clients this in my career. Anxiety has to do with when our thoughts, white horse, and our emotions, red horse, are at odds with one another. We tend to, well, oftentimes what can result is an anxious state. Look at the lack of color in the Eight of Arrows card. It's like black or white, whereas the Balance card is so harmonious and so lovely. Balance is also about healing. You'll notice the caduceus that's represented here with the horses, which is an old symbol of healing. But with the Struggle card, this can indicate some level of disconnect from reality, disconnect from self. And when we tie that back with the Moon card, there may be some level of deception, dishonesty, things that are not being said, things that are hidden. And an anxious struggle. If you're acting, if you're behaving, or thinking in a way that's at opposing forces to your emotions, it's going to be potentially this anxious state. You know, I think about anxiety and particularly panic attacks in a person when, if you're thinking one way, like I should, to be concrete, I've got clients that are in substance abuse recovery. And one of the things they'll tell me, oh no, I'm not having any cravings for any drugs or alcohol, but the reality is that their biological wiring has changed in their addiction. And on some deeper level, they seriously are craving, but they're in denial about it. They may not even be aware of it themselves. They want recovery intellectually, but yet their biochemical brain is telling them, I gotta have it, right? Opposing forces. So a lot of times they'll be having panic attacks in the middle of nowhere, for seemingly no reason. There could be a trigger, but maybe not. Sometimes it really is just about the biochemistry is kicking out some sense of desperation in hopes that they lose control and use again. It really is like having a foreign animal hijack your brain in a sense, right? That's one example. The other thing can be we love someone and yet we're really, really having a difficult time telling them something that's uncomfortable, right? Or it's hard for us to say something, that's, you don't want to say it to your family member because it's going to create a problem, but yet, you're trying to live maybe a fake or less than authentic life with around your family, especially around the holidays. Things just get so darn tight and tense. So there is a need to clear something away, something that's been creating potentially this anxious state within you. And this is about understanding what exactly that is, what that means for you. Being okay with the fact that you may not be the person that you intellectually hoped that you were. I think there's a place for every person where they have to realize that they fall short of their own expectations. But then we have to ask what that means, really. Five of Cups in this deck is about ecstasy. It's about ecstasy. Spiritual ecstasy, physical ecstasy. Cups is the suit of emotions and spirit. So in some way, this card is about the yes. Capital Y, capital E, capital S, 3 exclamation points, underlined several times, whatever kind of yes. Ecstasy that this entails. But that brings us back to this question, what exactly is going on under the surface here? Now, the moon can be some sort of a phase or a cycle that's going on. And we have here this challenge, the Two of Stones. This is a duality. These are battling bunnies, right? They are at a conflict. These are boxing hares. They are not having fun. They're not playing games. They're serious about this. There's some kind of battle that's going on. It's either in your external environment or it's in your internal world. And given the fact that there's something that needs clearing here, we've got this anxiety struggle and we have some kind of a balance coming into play. It could be that you're having to make a head and heart decision and you're feeling anxious about that because you want two things that are in opposition with one another at the same time. I hate to put it like that. I mean, but it is what it is, right? And I don't want to stereotype signs either because every person can go through something like that. Geminis oftentimes have difficulties reconciling these two polar opposites. They want different things. They're emotional, they're passionate, and at the same time, they're like logical and cool and collected and calm. It's very hard to bring those two to some kind of a common peace. And this, again, is about internal struggle. Something's not out in the open in your home life, something that needs to be communicated, and you're struggling to communicate it. And this is where this challenge is coming from. You're holding a lot in. You're not speaking a lot. It's all within this egg, and it needs to be hatched. What is it that you need to hatch open and talk about? What are you afraid of? What is creating some kind of an anxiety within you? We see coming up here too, this reflection card, which is a balance for this rest card. The reflection card also has the moon in it, right? And we saw the moon in the middle. So as I bring these out, we've got rest and reflection, the need to go within and determine and define your terms. What is it that you need? Where are your needs not being met? What do you need to see or to do? What do you need to let go of? What's a false belief that you're having about yourself or your situation or your life that is not making sense for you? Can you create some time for yourself to go within and see if you can't turn the ugly worm within into a great big beautiful butterfly? What would that take to be able to do that, to lift that up? Reflection is like the rest card on steroids. It's about working with the intuitive nature of the self. It's about working with lunar energies, with yin energies, high priestess energies. Reflection, meditation, psychic awareness, intuitive. This is about taking some of the mystery, some of the lack of clarity, sometimes the lunar or the lunatic element out of the moon, reflecting upon it, making it work for you. How can you channel your own personal cup of crazy into something that can be beautiful in your life? It's possible to do this, right? A lot of really great artwork, poetry, novels are written by people that are what they used to call in the olden days lunatics. People with mental illness can make beautiful art. They can have an amazing contribution to society. Now, this doesn't literally mean mental illness per se. This just means there are wild parts of ourselves that are often unacceptable to ourselves, even if it's simply because there's a societal norm or a stereotype or something that we need to reconcile ourselves to, that we fall short of some arbitrary mark, whatever that looks like. Where is your mark? Where is your line? This conflict is affecting you on an internal level. And so you're going to be keeping people at bay over these holidays. You're not going to want to let them in to see that. It's going to affect how you are relating with your pack. What do you need to get rid of? What's causing you anxiety? How can you reconcile those two opposing factors? And taking some time to reflect. Taking time for self-care. You know, I get snappish if I don't have enough self-care. If I don't take time away, I get snappish. And it's not even the person that I'm talking to. It's just that I've had my limit. I've used up my words for the day. Now I need some space. I got to space out, put the headphones on, whatever the hell happens, right? It's a major arcana card, not surprising. And it's called the Hierophant. And the Hierophant was kind of like a high priest, can represent certain things. Let me read this to you. It's kind of long, but I think it's worth it. Honorable Lord Crane is the ancient symbol of spiritual justice and longevity. It is both a solar symbol and a herald for death. So here, just in the part about solar symbol and herald for death, we see the bringing together of the yin and yang energies, these balanced energies of polarity, right? And let me point out too, because it just now occurred to me, we also see a crane right here. Could be a heron, but it's a wading bird, clearly. Right here in the moon card that's come on board. And we also see it here in this reflection card. Now, this is a heron, this one here, a great heron. But heron and crane are very, very related. Okay, so let me stop interrupting myself rudely and moving on. It is a solar symbol and herald for death. This contrast is significant in that cranes teach the need for both life and death as part of the same process. Oh, and that's that butterfly again, the death of the worm or whatever to become this butterfly. Okay. Crane always heralds the end or change of old ways so that a new expression can be born within them. Being a wading bird, a crane moves between water and the land, earth and sky. Its movement between the worlds, between realms, and between times can help us learn how to draw upon our own innate waters, our intuitive faculty, awakening a freshness within tradition for new growth. In more ancient times, the hierophants, the priests and priestesses, were schooled in walking between the worlds with all that it implies. Oh, that's that reflection card again. Cranes reveal how past lives affect the present. They reveal how death is just a transition and not an end. They open doors between all worlds, realms, times, and traditions, stimulating new tangible spiritual experiences. Crane always awakens us to the ancient ones, the beings of spirit in the various spiritual realms, including that of the fairy. Now is the time to draw upon ancient teachings and to find ways of re-expressing them within the modern world and within your current life. The crane, because of its link between worlds, awakens past lives, reveals how ancient we truly are, and how the past is affecting our present. It heralds a new understanding of life issues and of sacrifices we have made or are making by revealing our karma and how the laws of spiritual justice are at play within our life. The crane often lays 2 eggs in the wild, but usually only rears one. The parents are very secretive in rearing their vulnerable one. This reflects a need to develop a new sense of protectiveness, a need for secrecy in regards to something being given birth to within our life. In this way, the birth and the ensuing life will be long and productive. Crane reminds us to celebrate our creative resources and to keep them alive, and teach us that through proper focus, that to which we give birth will have a long, honorable life. The reverse crane reminds us that spiritual justice will play itself out within the mundane world, but not necessarily according to how we believe it should. Things will unfold, though, in the time, manner, and means that is best. Appropriate card. I couldn't help but thinking about this moon card when it was talking about the things, secrecy, and the things that we're about to give birth to being kept into some kind of a secrecy. And again, it kind of ties back to this something that's about to be hatched, and trying to identify what exactly that is in your life. Sometimes we don't want to foreshadow our moves by telling everybody what we're up to until we get to the point where we're ready to do that, launching our new product idea, our new business, our new service that we're providing that fills some kind of a niche that's been overlooked so far. There's a reason for that type of secrecy. So whatever it is that you're doing, be very careful that you're taking time for yourself, doing your self-care, that you are listening to your wisest self, your best impulses, your wisest self, and instead of neglecting or rejecting the parts of you that may not fit somebody else's idea or even your own internalized idea of what you have to be, allowing yourself to celebrate all the parts of yourself, the sunshine parts and the shadow parts alike. Trust that you will be able to bring them forth in the best and healthiest manner for everyone involved.